Today's lesson is Saving Lives with Xiao Luren. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And we're talking about the little green man that we pretty much see every day, or the little red man when he turns red. But, of course, this particular signal at traffic lights helps keep us safe. They let us know if it's okay for us to cross the street or to stay where we are. And, of course, if it's a small green man, that is referring to pedestrians, or it's a message specifically for pedestrians. Cars just get to watch the regular lights.
That's right. And of course, Xiao Luren, not only is he cute as he sort of tells us how much time we have to cross the road, and oh, now we must run. Look, Xiao Luren is running, so we have to hurry. It's also very interesting, and it's saving lives. And even cooler, it's kind of a Taiwanese invention. So we're going to be learning about how Xiao Luren saves lives, where Xiao Luren came from, and why we owe him our lives. We owe him so much. Let's get into the article. Saving Lives with Xiao Luren. In 2016, a special Google Doodle was created to celebrate the 17th birthday of Xiao Luren, the little green man seen on pedestrian traffic lights throughout Taiwan. Besides being a cute cultural icon, Xiao Luren has likely saved countless lives.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 pedestrian， 它的意思是行人或是步行者。例如 The driver swerved to avoid a motorcycle and hit a pedestrian. 那名驾驶为了避开机车突然转向而撞到了行人。或者 While driving, you need to watch out for pedestrians crossing the road. 开车时你必须注意过马路的行人。接着看到这个名词 icon， 表示代表人物或形象、象征，同时也可以是图示或是图标的意思。例如 With one hit movie after another, the director has become an icon of the film industry. 这名导演的卖座电影一部接着一部，已经成为电影业的代表人物。或是 The peace symbol has become an icon of non-violent protest. 和平符号已成为非暴力抗议的标志。
Okay, let's go back almost 10 years to the year 2016, and at that time, a special Google Doodle was created to celebrate the 17th birthday of Xiao Luren, the little green man seen on pedestrian traffic lights throughout Taiwan and maybe in other parts of the world as well. Now, if you've ever looked at Google's front page or their home page, it might depend on the holiday or the occasion. They often have this thing called a Google Doodle. It's a little design around the letters Google that reflects something going on in society, maybe Chinese New Year or Christmas or whatever. And this particular doodle was created to celebrate the Xiao Luren. They were celebrating the 17th birthday of this particular phenomenon. A doodle usually is like a little picture you draw on a piece of paper. You're not really trying to do a sketch or a drawing. You're just drawing an informal little drawing with a pen or a pencil. Maybe it's a picture of a shark or a house or a dog or whatever. It's just a very simple little drawing that you do to help you pass time. But in this particular case, we're talking specifically about that Google Doodle.
Exactly right. Nice little piece of art they have there at the top of the Google search page, right above where you type in what you're looking for. And I think often when you click on them, it might move, it might make a little game, it might have a little animation or something like that. And you're right, Roger. I think they do change fairly frequently, maybe even daily. Anyway, so this was, celebrating the 17th birthday of Xiao Luren, the little green man seen on pedestrian traffic lights throughout Taiwan. So that's kind of cool. Google recognized that it was his birthday, and they made that doodle. And of course, for us here in Taiwan, we don't see him on Google as much as we see him on street corners, because this is for pedestrian traffic lights. Traffic lights, of course, are those simple things with usually red, green, and yellow, or amber and green, or red, yellow, and green that control traffic. When we say pedestrian, though, we mean people walking. If you are walking along the side of the street on the sidewalk, or if you're crossing the street, hopefully safely, at a pedestrian crossing where they paint those thick white lines on the road. You are a pedestrian. You are a person walking, going about on foot in the city. And yes, we want to keep pedestrians safe, especially when they're crossing the street. It says, besides being a cute cultural icon, Xiaoluren has likely saved countless lives. I won't disagree with the second part of that sentence. I'm sure Xiaoluren has saved lives, many lives. But would you say he's a cultural icon, Roger?
I wouldn't think so, but, well, I guess
he is now.
Yeah, I have noticed that the little green man is actually a man. It looks like he's wearing a hat, which implies that it was invented a long time ago because men don't really wear those kinds of hats anymore. But by looking at that icon, you can tell it is a man. That's why we call it a little green man in English, although you could call it a little green person, as you do in Chinese. It's a cultural icon. Okay, an icon is something that represents something larger. We've got all sorts of cultural icons in different countries around the world. The most common icons, of course, would be the ones on your computer screen or on your smartphone. They're the little pictures that you tap on to open up an application, like for getting on the internet or going onto social media or news sites or whatever. They'll all have an icon there. And this is a cultural icon. And yes, indeed, it has saved a lot of lives. It does control pedestrian traffic, and yes, indeed, around the world, lots of people get run over by cars, but with this special light, not as many people have gotten run over, although they still do, but of course, we could use some improvements. And let's talk some more about the green man. In the second part, we'll come right back to discuss it.
The original version of a green man for pedestrian signals was created in East Berlin in 1961 by Karl Peglau. Peglau aimed to improve crosswalk safety by designing signals that were clearer and more meaningful for pedestrians. His designs featured both a red man to signal wait and a green man to signal walk. All right, here we are back with the second part of the article. So we know about Xiaoluren here in Taiwan, of course, a cultural icon, 17th birthday back in the year 2016. But where did the little green man appear first? Well, let's find out. It says the original version of a green man for pedestrian signals was created in East Berlin in 1961 by Karl Peglau. Wow, that's a very interesting place for the green man to be born or to come from. So this is the original version of the green man. When we talk about a version of something, this is one representation of it, or this is one form of it. Often when we have movies or music or things like that, they might put out different versions. A movie that has a lot of violent action scenes, they might make a different version to show on airplanes or television, where they'll cut out some of the violence, some of the bad words or something like that, and have a more family-friendly version. Or if you really like the movie, they might have the extended version, where the normally 2-hour movie is now 2.5 hours because they've put more content in it. They've put in the things that they cut out earlier. So those different variations on something would be a different version. Also, when you're cooking, you might say, oh, this is my version of my grandma's apple pie. You know, I think she used a little bit too much sugar. I want it to be a little lighter. So it's basically the same, but a few little things have been changed. This is my version. So here's the first version, the first time that the green man was ever seen. This was created or made, first thought up and made in East Berlin in 1961. Now, those older folks in our audience might remember the time before, about the year, 1990, when Germany was two countries. It was West Germany and East Germany from the end of World War II to the early 1990s. And of course, what is now the capital city, Berlin, was also divided by the famous Berlin Wall. When you see East Berlin or East Germany, you're thinking the communist part of Germany, or Berlin, the one that was under the control of the Soviet Union, Russia, at the time. Of course, this was known as the USSR, and East Germany and East Berlin were some of its ally countries in Central Europe. And this is 1961, so around the time of the Berlin Wall, and Karl Peglau is the name of the person. I assume he might have worked for the government or something like that, and he had this idea of a green man, and it was all about safety, just like it is today.
Interesting. It was invented during the Cold War, and Peglau aimed to improve crosswalk safety by designing signals that were clearer and more meaningful for pedestrians. So that was his aim, that was his goal. He wanted to improve safety at crosswalks. A crosswalk, of course, is where you cross the street as a pedestrian. Sometimes it's called a zebra crossing, and these signals wanted to tell pedestrians if they could go or if they needed to stop. They sent those clear signals, and of course those signals were meaningful for pedestrians. They could look at those little icons and they could figure out, yes, I can go, or no, I better not, or I'm going to get run over by a large truck.
There you go. Very useful for even the youngest kids who maybe couldn't read. And of course, writing stop or go on a light might make it quite difficult with the size. So you have this wonderfully simple little picture and everyone understands. His designs featured both a red man to signal wait and a green man to signal walk. In the same way that we use red lights and green lights to signal stop or go. When driving, the same idea here, but having the little red man shows that this is for the pedestrians, the people walking, and not the cars or bicycles that might be driving and using the same road. Red meant wait and green means walk. It's about the same today. Some places the red man will be a red hand, right? The red hand like kind of saying stop, as if you were giving that gesture to someone, but the same idea and certainly the same color scheme. All right, let's pause here and listen to the third part of the article. While Peglau's green man quickly gained popularity, he didn't indicate how much time people had to cross the street. This wasn't ideal in terms of safety, so the Taipei city government came up with an innovative solution. A timer was added to traffic lights, and Xiao Luren was brought to life through animation. He begins at a slow pace when the light turns green, then speeds up into a quick dash as the crossing time runs out. Xiao Luren's success in Taipei meant that he soon began appearing elsewhere in Taiwan and even beyond. In fact, he can now be found saving lives in countries around the world.
第三部分看到片语 in terms of， 意思是从点点点角度来看，或是就点点点而言，也可以是在点点点方面的意思。例如 In terms of experience, Gerald is the most qualified for the position. 以经验的角度来看 Gerald 最有资格担任该职位。再看一个例子 In terms of athletic ability, Rachel is the most talented member of her family. 就运动能力来说 Rachel 是家中最有天分的。后面看到名词 innovative， 指创新的、新颖的，也可以是富有革新精神的。例如 Professor Nolan's innovative approach has resulted in several important discoveries. Nolan 教授创新的方法带来了好几项重要的发现。也可以说 Kelsey was an imaginative and innovative manager. Kelsey 是个具有想象力和创新精神的经理。下一个介绍片语 bring something to life， 表示使点点点变得活灵活现、栩栩如生。我们可以说 The movie brought ancient times to life. 那部电影让远古时代变得活灵活现。又或者说The music brought the party to life. 音乐使这场派对充满了活力。继续看到名词 pace， 它表示步速、步幅，但也可以是速度或是节奏的意思。可以说 In the final mile of the race, the runners increased their pace. 在赛程的最后1英里，跑者们加快他们的步伐。也可以说 Despite the great acting, the movie's pace was too slow for me. 尽管演技很棒，但这部电影的步调对我来说太慢了。最后看到 elsewhere 这个单字，它是副词，指的是在别的地方。举例来说 While it was raining in our area, the sun was shining brightly elsewhere. 当我们所在的地区下着雨时，其他地方却阳光普照。或者 If they don't have the book you want here, we can go look elsewhere. 如果他们这里没有你要的书，我们可以到别处看看。
Okay, here's the third part of our article for today. It says, while Peglau's green man quickly gained popularity, it is true that it became very popular, still, he didn't indicate how much time people had to cross the street. Okay, so you could see the green man walking on this indicator, but you didn't really know how much time you had left. Gee, should I go into the street now? Maybe I'll only have like 5 seconds to cross the street, or maybe I've got 20. Who knows? So while it became popular, popular, while it gained popularity, we still didn't know how much time we had to cross the street. Now, if something gains popularity, it becomes popular. So popularity is the noun form of the adjective popular. So it became more popular. That's what it means, or it gained popularity. And yes, indeed, while that was happening, still, it did not indicate how much time you had to cross the street. How the heck would you know if you got time to start crossing the street before the opposing traffic gets the green light and somebody runs you over because they can't see you?
Exactly right. I mean, some big city streets can be very wide, and if you're an older person who can't move as fast, for example, or a mother with a baby in a carriage, yes, you don't want to be stuck in the middle of the street. I guess they used to flash sometimes, right? But even then, you wouldn't really know when it will stop flashing, and you'll suddenly be in trouble. So this wasn't ideal in terms of safety, clearly. So the Taipei city government came up with an innovative solution. Absolutely. The green man, the red man and green man, showing stop and go or wait and walk. That was very useful, but it wasn't perfect. It wasn't ideal in terms of safety. It was useful in terms of giving clear information, and certainly it was practical in terms of being a fairly simple and fairly cheap solution that any city can afford to put up some of these lights. So in terms of, meaning when we're talking about, or in consideration of, from a safety point of view, in other words, it wasn't ideal, it wasn't perfect. They needed a way to show people how much time they had to cross the street more effectively. So the Taipei city government, again, a local thing here, they came up with an innovative solution. So the Taipei city government, this would be the government under the control of the mayor that kind of runs the affairs of just the city of Taipei. They came up with, when you come up with something, you devise something, you invent something, you create something. Basically, you have an idea and you sort of bring it to life. And they came up with an innovative solution. I guess the best kinds of solutions would be the innovative ones because they are original, they are novel, they are unique, they have not been done before. You can copy a solution, but that's not an innovative solution because someone else thought of it before you did. But if you think of it yourself or come up with it yourself, it is very innovative, new, novel, not seen before. What was the solution?
Well, a timer was added to traffic lights.
Genius.
And Xiao Liren was brought to life through animation.
Absolutely.
Which is really
genius.
nice. Those pictures of the little green man walking are so cute. It's kind of leisurely strolling across the road at the very beginning. But when they want you to hurry up, then it starts moving really fast. I think that's so cute. But it is a reminder that, yes, if you don't hurry, you will indeed get run over by a bus or something like that. So, yes, indeed, they added a timer, which is a way to count down time. Okay, I had a timer before when I used to exercise. I set it to like 30 minutes or something, and then it would count down to 0. And when the alarm went off, I knew my exercise session was over. It was only 30 minutes, so I used a timer. A stopwatch will go forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. But a timer counts backwards 10, 9, 8, etc.
A lot of people would have a kitchen timer. Of course, you put that on for 20 minutes, put your chicken in the oven or whatever you're cooking, and then when you hear the beep, 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 that means the time is up and the food should be ready. And in the same way that these timers on street corners do count down, and this is brought to life, this is sort of made more interesting, and it starts to move and things like that through animation, all right? So it's basically a moving picture, and in the same way that if you flip a bunch of pictures quickly or watch a bunch of pictures being shown very quickly, like in a television or a movie, it brings those pictures to life. It makes them move. It makes something that is not alive, like a picture, suddenly seem like it is living, like it is moving, like it is in the world. And animation, that is basically what we're doing there. People like Disney and filmmakers before that would draw a lot of pictures, very similar looking but slightly different, still pictures of them, take photographs of them, play that film back quickly, and the picture seems to move. That is animation. And what happens when you're looking at Xiao Liren on one of these timer traffic lights here in Taiwan? Well, most of you know. He begins at a slow pace when the light turns green. So when you're at the maximum time, right after you cross the street safely, he's walking at a nice slow pace. And your pace is basically your rhythm or your tempo while walking. If you're going for a calm, relaxing stroll through the park, you'll be going at a pretty slow pace, not very quickly. If you're trying to get across the street before the light changes or get down to the corner before the bus arrives. You might go at a quicker pace. Basically, you're walking faster. So here he is walking nice and casually when the light turns green. Lots of time to cross the street. Then speeds up into a quick dash. He suddenly starts going much faster as the crossing time runs out. As you get down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now it looks like he's running because you should be if you are on that crosswalk.
Now here in the final paragraph it says, Xiao Liren's success in Taipei meant that he soon began appearing elsewhere in Taiwan and even beyond. So people down in Taichung and Kaohsiung and Tainan, Hualien, etc., they saw these things in Taipei. They thought, that's pretty cool. It's protecting people's lives. Let's do that too. And so they transferred the technology to those places, maybe even to Puli or places like that. Elsewhere just means in other places, and then beyond would refer to other countries.
Wow, very cool. So Xiao Liren can be seen in many street corners in many parts of the world. In fact, it says he can now be found saving lives in countries around the world. That is pretty cool. Of course, it's a little bit of Taiwanese pride there, seeing that, an idea that came from here is now so popular in other places. And also, it's a good feeling to know that, yes, as the sentence says, the most important thing, Xiao Liren, along with being cute and helpful, is saving lives, stopping people from getting hit while crossing the street.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's listen now to Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 今天的文章是关于行人好志灯小绿人。我们来看看文章里面的5个题目。第一题他写到空格 Being a cute cultural icon, 小绿人 has likely saved countless lives. 题目意思是空格是可爱的文化象征，小绿人可能还拯救了无数生命。这题考我们介系词，来看选项 A until 是直到， B besides 除了点点点之外， C upon 表示一怎么样就怎么样， D due to 表示因为。那语义上来看，最适合选项会是 B besides， 去表达说小绿人除了是可爱的文化象征，它可能还拯救了无数生命。那其他3个选项都不符合语义。第二题我们看到他写说 The original version of a green man for pedestrian signals 空格 in East Berlin in 1961 by Karl Peglau。 题目意思是行人好志绿人最早的版本是由卡尔佩格劳于1961年在东柏林空格。这题考我们时态，那4个选项都是 create 的动词变化形式。选项 A 是 were created， B created， C was created， D had created。 那这个句子的主词是 the original version of a green man， 绿人的最初版本。那它是单数型，所以要搭配单数动词。而且这个版本是被创造出来的，要使用被动语态，所以正确答案就会是 C was created。 再看到第3题，这边他写说 His designs 空格 both a red man to signal wait and a green man to signal walk。 题目意思是他的设计空格一个示意等待的红人和示意行走的绿人。那这边考我们字汇，来看选项 A featured， 它表示包含具有什么作为特色。 B varied 表示使不同有差异或是使变化改变。 C inspired 表示启发赋予灵感激励鼓舞。 D modified 表示修改变更或是修饰。那语义上来看，应该是要表达它的这个设计有包含了什么什么，它的特色是什么什么。那最适合的答案就会是 A featured， 其他选项都跟语义不符合。好，再看到下一题，这边句子写到 While Peglau's green man quickly 空格 He didn't indicate how much time people had to cross the street。 题目意思是尽管佩格劳的绿人迅速空格，但他并未指出人们有多少时间可以过马路。那这边考我们语义，来看选项 A gained popularity 表示受到欢迎变得流行。 B made compromises 做出妥协。 C provided access 表示提供使用或查阅的权利，那后面常常会接 to 加名词。 D gave ground 表示退让让步或是改变立场。句子里面它有使用转折词 while， 所以前后句子就会有语气上的转折咯。那语义上来看，最适合选项会是 A gained popularity， 去表达尽管佩格劳的绿人迅速受到欢迎，但他并未指出人们有多少时间可以过马路。再看到第 第5题这个句子他说 He begins at a slow pace when the light turns green, then speeds up into a quick dash as the crossing time 空格。题目意思是他在绿灯亮起时以缓慢的步伐开始行走，然后随着过马路的时间空格，他加快步伐成为快速奔跑。那这题测验我们片语动词，来看选项 A shows up 表示人出现露面，或者是表达事物显现出来。B slows down 表示慢下来。C sets off 表示启程、出发、动身。D runs out 表达用完耗尽。那么大家在过马路时应该都有注意到，行人号志灯绿灯亮起时，这个小绿人是慢慢走的。可是当过马路的时间所剩不多时，他就会快速奔跑。所以语义上来看，最适合选项就是 D runs out， 用来表达时间用完耗尽。好，那以上是今天的讲解，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Pedestrian. Cars must stop when a pedestrian is crossing the road. Icon. The Statue of Liberty is an icon of freedom and democracy. Version.
This version of the software runs slower on older computers.
Innovative. Patricia just came up with an innovative idea to solve the problem. Pace. Larry kept a steady pace throughout the race. Elsewhere. When the factory closed, people left the town to seek work elsewhere.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.